Given recent events and with heightened anxiety, it is important to know how to approach the topic of gun safety and school shootings with our children.
Dr. John Duffy joins us more now to share more. We were talking about in the break. There's so much going on in kids' worlds. And then to hear about an attempted assassination and a school shooting, that's another thing for them to worry about. It's like, how do you explain the world outside of their school buildings to them?
It's tricky because we didn't have these fears when we were kids, right? So we kind of have to learn from them. So the first thing is get to know what they know, what they've heard, you know, because sometimes kids come in with really good information. Just as often they come in and they'll tell you something and you're like, oh, that's not true, you know, like, and the thing they believe in most is this can happen anywhere, anytime. There's some truth to that, but I get a lot of like, Dr. Duffy, this could happen in my school any day. And the likelihood of that is so low, but kids don't feel that because they hear about these things over and over and over again. So it's on us to kind of like modulate that noise, right? A little bit and let them know like, hey, there's a lot of people working to make sure this doesn't happen. So it's probably not gonna happen where you are. And if it does, there are people around who are gonna help.
And I imagine age plays a factor in that because when my kids came home and was like, yeah, someone shot Donald Trump in the ear, I'm like, first of all, how'd you, my kids are 6 and 5.
Yeah.
How did you hear that? Because I know I didn't tell you. First of all, how did you hear it? And then what do you say to a young kid? I mean, there's a different conversation between a high schooler and a young kid.
Right. So there's a bunch of factors involved there. One is our kids are going to find out things, a lot of things, way before we do, right? They're going to let us know what the news is. That didn't used to happen. So we're going to have to react in an appropriate way. And we have to consider not just their age, but their developmental level and their level of sensitivity, right? You know, that's a really important one. So with our younger kids, we want to ask what they've heard, right? You know, we don't want to provide them with additional anxiety. We want to modulate what anxiety they actually feel. So ask them what they've heard and kind of gauge the accuracy of that, right? And always lean toward making them feel safe. But if they feel unsafe, let them talk about that. That's the hardest thing for a parent to do, is to sit back and let them say, I'm really scared. I'm scared this could happen in my school. But you don't want to shut that down. Because if you shut that down, anxiety actually goes up. It doesn't come down.
Oh, because you're not paying attention to what their needs are or what their fear is, right?
Right. And it makes it seem like you're dismissing something because you're scared too.
Okay. And so that for the little guys. And then as they get bigger, you know, whether or not they're on social media, they're probably talking a little bit more in depth about details. What do you do with that?
So with older kids, you want to address this at two different points in time. First, you want to talk about it when it's not going on. So right now we're in the midst of it. We just had a school shooting last week. We had an assassination attempt over the weekend, right? So, you know, things are going on right now. And you want to talk about it then. And that's a little crisis management. But you also want to talk about it when it's not going on, you know, and just get a feel for like, hey, these things happen once in a while. How do you feel about that? That's when you're going to be able to really calmly problem solve. You're not just managing crisis, but you're getting a feel for like, where are you on this thing? And some kids are so sensitive and maybe a little immature emotionally or mature but feel a lot that you might want to bring in a professional. Even if your child's school has never had a threat against it, you still might want to consider professional help if they become so anxious that they're avoidant about even stepping in the building.
And in a group situation, like get the school to bring in a group, or do you want to go single, one-on-one type?
A group situation would normally happen if there were either a threat or an incident at a school. And then they would bring in people like me, and we would do a lot of kind of immediate kind of crisis management group therapy, right? When nothing's going on, then you want to kind of decide child to child to child. Does my child need to talk to somebody about this thing that they're anxious about? That make sense?
Yeah, and I always get frustrated. Now, you know how I feel about social media with kids. But a lot of kids are on social media. There's a lot of disinformation about these things happening. How do you manage that? Because you might not even know what they know is wrong.
Right.
And they're not getting the correct information.
100%. So that's where listening comes in. And as parents, we so want to do a lot of talking. We want to talk our kids out of being anxious, right? So the hardest thing to do is to bite your tongue and say, Well, tell me what you've heard. Tell me how you feel. And to sit back and let them air that out, that is the therapy. That's all we do. So really, that's the key, is to let them talk about it. That's cathartic, and that makes them feel better.
So we don't need to fill in the blanks. We don't need to add more information. We don't need to tell them more about it.
You don't need to tell them more about it unless they ask you. If they ask you, then you got to be honest about it.
Okay.
But if they don't ask you, you don't need to tell them more about it. What you might want to do is ask them what they want to do about it, or what they would do about it. Kids sometimes like the idea of movement, of doing something about it. So like, I want to write a congressperson, or I want to hold a vigil, I want to write victims' families, or I have an idea about what we could do about this.
Give them some power.
Give them some power, some agency over the situation.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Lots to think about.
Especially like if your kids are like little kids, ride a bus with big kids.
Yes.
A lot of information is getting disseminated and it's not always correct.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And you
And
never
we've
know
got to
who-
control the flow of that.
So
Dr.
much.
Duffy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Duffy.
guys.
DrJohnDuffy.com is where you can get more information, and his books are out there available as well. Thank you.